I think it's time to read a story.
Time to read a story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got the right screen kind of up. Here we go.
Oh,
All right. I have to get my story voice on. A little bit of water here won't hurt. I hope all y'all guys are doing well out there today. I really do, because I know there's a lot of stress on everybody. And it's definitely on me and it's on Shannon too. But as we get to the second story, we need to continue to remember to walk by faith and not by sight alone. All right, now let's read our story from Debbie. Let's see, which way do I want to do it here? Let me blow this up. I'll put you in charge of the comments and everything right now, Shannon, if you don't mind.
you got it.
And and the little other banner buttons and stuff, and I'll just read this here while we go. All right, it says, Dearest Daniel, I'm a fan of your show. I try to catch all of your shows. I know our Father really appreciates the work that you are doing, and so do I. A little background. From a very early age, I experienced supernatural things from my father. My parents were terrified of the things I would say because I could see things. When I would see and hear things, I was punished for speaking of it because I was so little and my parents couldn't comprehend that they didn't want me speaking about the things that I was experiencing from the Father and from and she spelled it Yoshua. How would you pronounce that, Shannon?
Joshua.
Yeshua, I think is what she's saying there. Yeshua. Over the over the last few years, I've had some very interesting dreams from God, and I mean a lot. There is one in particular that I'd like to speak with you about. And also, God spoke to me and told me to write down the words that He spoke. And real quickly, as a side note to Debbie, one, thank you very much for writing in and writing the story. But two, um, if you would like to come on, because I think this story, because I've read this already, I think this story needs to be elaborated on more. So, Debbie, if you're watching this, if you would, if you'd like to come on and we can talk about it, you don't have to show your face, or you can. You can just hang out here with me and Shannon, and we can discuss the story and stuff. You can come on as a special guest. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where was I? So my parents couldn't comprehend that. Wait a minute here. Let me back up. I was punished for speaking of it because I was so little, and my parents couldn't comprehend that they didn't want me speaking about the things that I was experiencing from the Father and Yeshua.
Joshua, maybe.
Yeshua.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, I've had some very interesting dreams from God, and I mean a lot. There is one in particular that I would like to speak with you about, and also God spoke to me and told me to write down the words that He spoke. Words that He spoke to me about the rescue plan. He is going to get us out of here. It's funny because, well, I say funny, it ain't funny, but it's interesting because me and Shannon were kind of talking about that
Yeah.
a little bit earlier. um, lose my place here just a little bit. Sorry, guys.
It's highlighted at least in.
Rescue plan. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
here we go. I apologize. I'm a little stressed out, guys, so I apologize.
It's
He is,
okay. I'm your right wing lady. I got you.
all right. He is going to get us out of here. I promise you it's true. The dreams I have are all warning dreams. I went to sleep one night and I had this dream. I was floating upwards and it's in a state of extreme euphoria. Just keep just kept going up. During this time I was unaware that it was our Father in heaven. that was doing this, or
Joshua.
Joshua, or more likely Jesus Christ. The Lord is explaining to me that He prefers to be called Father. But, anyways, let me get back to the dream. I'm floating upward in a state of extreme euphoria. If you've ever been injured in an accident and you get a shot of morphine in the event of an accident, it's that intense, only multiplied by 1,000 times. So I continue to float upward in this state of extreme peace, still unaware of what's happening. But after a while, I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm fighting to come out of the state that I'm in because I need to know where I am and what's going on around me. And I finally do. I finally am awake and I find myself in deep space where I'm out of this trance and opening my eyes. I find that I am deep in outer space. Blackness all around me. Now I look down and I see that I'm wearing this long white flowing gown and I'm barefoot. And I looked past my feet and I saw the earth. The earth was covered in miles and miles of thick and deep clouds. And we'll come back and talk about that in a little bit too, because it's tied to some other things that are going on that we'll discuss a little bit. Me and Shannon were talking about it earlier. There were only two parts of the globe that were clear, and that was, I believe, the North and South Pole area. Well, North and South Pole. So I'm starting to get the idea that Father has taken me up. So now I look over my head and I see like a red plasma. I had woken up before I went through the plasma. I'm not sure what this is. I believe it might be a ceiling. Now it's interesting. I'm still in a state of very deep peace as I'm looking at all these things. And then the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life, it was like standing next to lightning bolt, which I've actually had happen to me amazingly. But standing next to a lightning bolt. And I was absolutely terrified. He called me by he called me by name with the voice of thunder. I was so shocked. And then a few minutes later, I realized it was our God. What he said was, tell the people that I am doing this. Okay. Now you have to remember she's talking about the earth was covered in miles and miles of thick and deep clouds and the things that are going on in the world. Okay. She's saying, I'm assuming that's what it is. That's why I want to talk to her some more about this and get a better understanding of her story. So tell people that I'm doing this. Additionally, I believe he said that he was going to be coming soon. And me and Shannon, we're talking about that too.
Exactly.
He was going to be coming soon. He wants all people prepared for the day of his coming, whenever that's going to be. The signs are here, but it is ultimately up to the Father. I witnessed him speaking, and then he left. And he went out throughout the whole universe, and he came back within minutes. And this is, of course, a vision she's having. And it says, I could feel every cell in my body vibrating, and I was having trouble breathing. This is when I woke up. But when I woke up, I tried to grab a piece of paper and pencil. My body was so heavy that I couldn't find a way to get out of bed. This was after she was actually fully awake in this world. Um, so my arm reaching for the pen and paper felt like it weighed 50 pounds. I had to make this public. I'm not quite sure how to go about explaining this to people, but I have been given a command, and this is the command and the other information in this story is what we've got to get Deborah to come on and talk about, because she doesn't explain it all in full detail. But let's keep going here. But been given a command, so I have to do this somehow, some way. Also, on June 4th, I experienced the same vibrating and shaking in my body during prayer. And God told me to write down what, what He speaks. He explains the rescue plan and had me write it. See, we'd like to have that writing, we'd like to see that. It took me an entire day to recover from this. It was the same thing I experienced when I was in the heavens with Father. This is how He speaks to me. I had a near death experience that I would like to share with you also. But I think the most important thing is to get the word out that God has asked me to tell His people. Well, this is definitely a place that you can do that kind of thing. There's absolutely no judgment here, for our Father in heaven is the judge, and we believe you. If you want to take the time and come on the show with us, I want to talk to you about this a lot more. And I probably already would have actually spoken to you, but it's been a little chaos for me lately, for quite a while now. She says, peace, love, and blessings. I keep you in my prayers, Daniel. I would love to donate too, but right now I'm having such terrible financial difficulties. I'm really struggling uh, right now. I'm hoping that will change soon. Peace of the Lord be with you, your sister, Deborah. Yeah, we would love to hear that, the whole thing, Deborah. Um, there were some things I picked up in your story that were particularly interesting to me, and I'm scrolling back up now to kind of see what all I highlighted. Like, okay, so, and any thoughts you have too, Shannon, feel free to interrupt at any time. I tend to run my mouth a little too much, I think.
Mm.
You said you were punished, and this is why the supernatural is taboo to this day, is because we're told not to talk about these things. We're told you're crazy. We're told these things, and the truth is, all you're doing is ignoring. In my opinion, in some cases, I'm not saying in every case, but you're ignoring the supernatural. You're ignoring things that you should be paying attention to and analyzing, thinking about, praying about, talking about with other people. Like, for instance, the other day, I had this weird feeling of, it's actually happened several times, this weird feeling of swaying. And it's like, what is wrong with me? Why am I swaying? So I put out a little video on my other channel, and turns out all the way from Florida all the way to Maine and even some other areas, people are saying that there's a swaying thing going on, where sometimes they feel this movement. And so it's not just me, it's happening out there. But if we don't stop and pay attention to these things and discuss them, I mean, really? I mean, that doesn't seem like the thing that we should be doing at all. So, anyways,
Well, even in the story of Noah, everybody made fun of him. Everybody was mean, would even physically assault him, calling him, I'm sure, plenty of the names back then they had,
yeah, can you
thinking
imagine
crazy.
building a boat when it did not rain, and he's building
Exactly.
it because
But
back in those days, I understand it didn't really rain.
no, and so but he had to listen to God and have that faith and get past what everyone else thought, what the world thought.
Yep. Yeah, kind of like the second story we're going to get to in a minute here is the you have to walk by faith and not by eyes alone, and you really, really, really have to learn how to use your own discernment, your own judgment, because Many others, even though they might think that they're helping you, and you might think that they're helping you, but we really got to be careful right now not to get led down the roads that are dead ends or just roads we shouldn't be on. Um,
Yeah.
Pray about it a lot, pray about it some more, and then listen. God will answer your prayers. You know, it may or may not be in the way that you think, but if you're not listening and if you're not paying attention to when things are happening around you, like the swaying, or paying attention that the ocean here is now blue and it's never been blue in my 54 years, which to me says something's wrong with the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream out on the east coast of the United States that comes up around Florida is what I'm talking about. And I've got a
Even
video on
here,
my other channel. What, Shannon?
even here on the West Coast, I mean, I've lived in Southern California my entire life. We always know it's hot. And, over the last couple of years, it's gotten slightly more humid. It's always been a very dry heat. It's getting a little more humid, but this summer has been the most intense summer to where you feel like you're being nuked by a microwave from the inside out. And it's been almost unbearable. And, I'm 42 years of having the same kind of heat, and then all of a sudden this is
Yeah,
completely
I can't
different.
stand being in the sun for
you
more. I can't stand for being in the sun more than about 15 straight minutes. I mean, the
is the
sun
heat like
is,
that out there?
yeah, it is.
Holy shenanigans.
It's like, and on top of that, it's humid, so the sun feels different. It's
Yeah.
completely white. There's no more yellow sun in the sky. You remember back when we were growing up, when we were little, the sun had a yellowish tinge to it. That's gone.
Yeah.
It's all white.
I actually have some crazy video of it being like the weirdest red pink and like color I've ever seen it. And this was not during sunset. It was just plain normal in the day. And I was like, what in the world is going on with this? I've just never seen it like that. So
Right? Does the video show it pretty good?
I don't know. Well, they're pictures. I think I might have
Oh,
video. I have
picture.
to. I'll look through it and I'll send them to you.
Upload them on your profile on the website.
You got it.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
so.
then everybody can see them that's a member.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll be under your profile. Yeah.
Awesome.
Um, how is it humid at all out there, or is it just really dry?
It's usually dry, but like I said, just the last 2-3 years, it's starting to get more and more humid, and now it's been like I'm in Louisiana or something, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And supposedly, the Salton Sea it's just bringing in something. We've had like air quality warning advisories because something was set off in the Salton Sea, and we just had a 4 point something earthquake yesterday, I think, or the day before, one of those last 2 days. And there's a lot of earthquakes that pop off in the Salton Sea. They're usually fairly minor, but it's a pretty nasty little body of
The Salton
water.
Sea is in Southern California, right?
Yeah, the Salton Sea is probably it's like in the desert, so it's about like 2.5 hours maybe from here, but going towards like Palm Springs and on down.
Is
Like,
there a Marine naval base in there?
I believe it. There's one that's close by, and 29 Palms isn't too far from it. But
I
I'm
would
not
bet
sure
I
what
bet
is.
they have tunnels from all the way from the Salton Sea out to the ocean. Would
Oh,
not,
I'd imagine so.
that would be easy enough for them to do, and then a submarine cruise right through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely things happening to our world. And when I say world, I mean WHIRLED is the correct spelling of the word world because we live in a world. Everything follows cycles, just like everything in our life morning, noon, evening, and night, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And everything operates by cycle. And it appears that we are at the close to the very end of one cycle, and then a new heaven and a new earth will be manifested. And how that all works, I don't know, but I think what I just said is connected, and I feel that it's true. You know. All right, let's see. Let's finish up with looking back through some of her stuff, Deborah's stuff, and that is this one. I want to hear about the rescue plan. You said it took you all day to write it, so I want to hear about it
Yes, please.
because I want to hear what I'm accepting your word as your word that you've seen this, and it is supernatural. I want to know. I want to know. That's what the show is all about. It's not about, oh, she's crazy. I don't want to hear that. It's the opposite. It's that people do have these experiences and do have a lot of supernatural things. I know they happen to me, even still to this day, literally. Um, she mentioned about the Lord preferring to be called Father, and that's actually the word I choose to use a lot is Father. So yeah, I like that. And then it's here where she says about the earth being covered in miles of thick clouds. That reminds me, and I'm not saying this is what it is because she'll have the opportunity to explain, but it just immediately reminded me of the movie called Day After Tomorrow, which is the movie that was written or that was done on the book, the coming the coming worldwide superstorm. It was written by Art Bell and this other guy, and we've kind of talked about this before, but it had huge toroidal, cyclical hurricanes that were spinning and running around the world, and that sounds like what kind of like what she's saying. Maybe I don't know. I didn't see what she's seeing, but I want to know about it. And also about the red plasma thing. She said I see like a red plasma, and I really need to speak to you to understand. Try to help you if I can to figure out the symbolism behind some of these things because that is how our Father works.
Have
And
you heard of the plasma apocalypse theory?
I have. I've
Yeah.
seen evidence of things out in the West right now, out there closer to where you're at. There are areas out there. There's a guy on YouTube that actually he's a trucker and he's always on the road and I don't agree with some of the work he does and some of the things he says, but I do agree with that these fires, there are fires that are springing up out of nowhere and it'll burn a forest or it'll burn a field or down the sides of the roads or different things where he gets out and he goes there and he films it and he shows the evidence and he say, well, fire can happen anywhere. Okay. But not the way that they're happening there. The way that the stuff is burning is really, it's not normal. Put it this way, fire doesn't do that. It's like a plasma that's radiating out of the earth and it's burning the things in these certain areas sometimes um, that are laying there. Like it'll burn. It comes up from underneath and burns the root systems out of trees, and it
So
burns other certain parts of the trees, but it'll leave all the grass and all the leaves on the tree. It's just really weird
we
how
saw
this
a lot of that kind of stuff with the big fires over here in like the Malibu kind of Ventura area
in
between all them.
paradise.
Paradise, yeah.
Remember that
Which
one? That one was a big one, and
one of
that,
my friends lost her home to that, and there were still some homes that were fine and
it's
trees that
fine.
were fine. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, the what was burning those homes and what was burning that area, whether it was natural or
Or
man
unnatural.
caused or controlled,
Hmm.
the energy pulses were coming up from underground. I proved it. I mean, I proved it to myself, and I know that people who have seen my work on that, I pretty well proved it. And basically, what it was is like it was energy pulsing from in the underground coming up, and what it was doing is it was hitting people's their grounding rod in their house. Instead of that, instead of lightning coming down and hitting the house and it going out through the grounding rod, yeah, D. Smith, exactly. Instead of it going out through the grounding rod, the actual power was coming from the below, so it would run up the grounding rod, overload the circuitry in the house, and burn it down because it isn't designed to protect from below. It's only designed to protect from above. So you could see where it was burning down the houses and everything out around it, and everything was all green and fine in a lot of cases. There was a ton of evidence, the like in the driveways, they have the big concrete, the what do they call them, the things that are in the driveways that are round that they put in there and put dirt over it so you can drive over it. They're made out
Oh,
of concrete.
yeah,
What?
like a roundabout kind of a thing,
No,
or
roundabout. It's like a tube that they put in the ditch that so you can
oh,
drive over, so you can make a driveway
oh,
over a
like a
ditch.
oh, I remember seeing
What is that word? They're in everybody's driveway.
that.
They're in everybody's driveway, especially like up in the mountains in Paradise. Um, Somebody's out there shouting the word, and they're probably in the comments shouting.
Rebar?
Well,
It's like
there was rebar inside of these concrete tubes that they put in the ground, a culvert. Yeah, exactly. There you go, Cosmic.
thank you. Oh shoot.
And we're on here acting like we got brains. God, we can't even think of the word
I
culvert.
swear.
Yeah. Shannon's like, I ain't never heard nothing like that.
I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have another blonde
But
moment. I'm having a
the,
lot today.
the culverts, they have rebar in them, and they're buried underground. So if there's a lot of energy, plasma, that's pulsating in the ground, what it will do is it causes that rebar to generate a current, and it causes it to pulse. And what it did was it fractured all of these culverts that were under the ground. And then in Paradise, they had to go dig them all up and replace them because they were all busted. And then the other things were bridges were burning. It was burning the metal bridges in areas and stuff. And it's just so much evidence. Yeah,
I'm
plasma
being
apocalypse kind
burnt
of stuff.
down to the ground.
There's a combination, I think, of man-made things going on and also supernatural things going on, absolutely as well. But anyways, we keep getting way off subject, don't we? Let's see here. Standing next to a lightning bolt. Yeah, I'd get into that story, but that would be another 10, 15 minutes of listening to me run my mouth. Let's see here. Tell the people that I'm doing this and that he was going to be coming soon. I like the sound of all that. She said my body was so heavy that I couldn't find a way to get out of bed. It almost sounds like you had a sleep paralysis type thing going on to me because I've been there where you feel like you're fully awake, but you can't move. And you can't even scream. You try to move, and it feels like you weigh 1,000 pounds. It almost sounds like something to do with a vision mixed in with sleep paralysis. But Deborah, you got to come on and tell your whole story itself so that you can clarify and clean up everything for us. And he had you write down the rescue plan, and it took you an entire day. Yeah, we want to hear that. All right, so that's the end of Deborah's story. Thank you so much, Deborah. You took the time to sit down and write this out and send it in to us. And I'm thankful, and I appreciate you doing that. We do have another story, and I think it's down